Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I'd like to read to you a section from Imam Al-Ghazali's condemnation of pride and self-admiration. This is a very important topic because, especially in the world of social media today, we like to post things about ourselves, about our achievements, about the things that we are proud of. For example, if we won a football tournament, we want to post with the trophies, especially when we actually earn a degree. We want to post pictures of our degree from Oxford or from Harvard or from Cambridge, from wherever it is. We want to post them online, and as well as the major thing, and that is being very boastful, being prideful, and believe that all our achievements in life is due to our own hard work and not due to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is something that the Muslims must always remember, and that every knowledge that we have, every achievements that we have, it is not due to our hard work. It is not due to our because we are smart. It is not due to because we work hard. But first of all, we have to remember that it is due because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually grant these things to us. And for example, if we got promotion at work, it is not due to our merits, but first and foremost, we have to remember that it's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually merciful towards us, and that He actually grant us this position, but as a test. Okay, and those who actually make good use of whatever that has been granted to us, or use it in the right way, meaning we actually, inshallah, will pass the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if we use it in the wrong way, or does things in the negative way, then we have incurred the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to be merciful toward us, because He is always merciful, but that doesn't mean that He will not punish us when we actually overstep the boundaries. Okay? But again, we do not know the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for us, and so we always have to remind ourselves of Suratul Kahf, whereby we have two people that have gardens, and one of them was actually boastful, and so on and so forth. And so because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed his fields and all his hard work gone in an instant. And so any achievements that we have, anything that we do that we thought that we could have never done it, but we did it, right? And so that itself is actually a warning to us to always be thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He actually does everything that He needs to do, or does everything that He does, so that we are able to achieve these things. He arranged the affairs of the human beings. It is not us. Okay, we get to a position at work, or we earn our certificates, all thanks to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so here it is mentioned in page 57 from this book, the causes for pride and the means that provoke it. Okay? Know that pride is an inward disposition. As for the character traits and actions that are displayed outwardly, they are the fruits and efforts of these inner dispositions. This is very important. It all begins from the inside. Okay? It all begins from the inside. It is appropriate for the fruits and effects to be called being proud, and for the name pride to be allotted to the inward sense, which is the magnification of the self. Okay, meaning you are actually portraying yourself as something bigger than what you actually are, regarding its worth to be above the worth of others. Okay? And the reason why you want to do that is you want to portray yourself as better than the other people around you. This inward disposition is necessitated by one thing, namely the self-admiration which is attached to the proud person, as will be shown. Especially in the modern world, we call this narcissistic or narcissism. Okay, for example, we post selfie, we took 100 different photos of us to find the right angles and so forth. Okay, and then we post it online to show all the things that we have. Okay, and so all these things are part of being narcissistic. Sometimes we don't realize it, or sometimes we actually try to reason with ourselves and say that no, this is not narcissistic, this is me just trying to show my days and so forth. But actually, it is being narcissistic. And so, I repeat, this inward disposition is necessitated by one thing, namely the self-admiration, which is attached to the proud person, as will be shown. Sometimes a non-proud person can become proud by overly indulging themselves with narcissism, okay, or by acting their narcissistic tendencies, or actualizing their narcissistic tendencies. Okay. Thus, when a person admires himself or herself, okay, his actions and his knowledge of some of his worldly means, he magnifies himself and acts proudly. Sometimes you don't need to act proudly. The very fact that you magnify yourself is in itself, okay, something that you should actually refrain from doing. Okay. Now, context-wise. Okay, context-wise. Now, obviously, if you are in an interview, okay, with a few other candidates for a job of your dream job, for example, okay, there is always the tendency for you to actually magnify yourself so that you actually be given the job. Okay, to the extent whereby people actually speak of something that is actually not within their resume or not within their CVs. Basically, they elevate themselves to a degree whereby whatever that they mention is actually false. Okay? And so this is something that we have to be careful of as well. And we always have to remember, okay, do the best that we can do. Because your risk, for example, all your affairs as to whether you get the job or not, okay, has been determined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, this is the beliefs of the Muslim, okay, the Aqidah of the Muslim. As for being proud outwardly, it has three causes. The first one is a cause in the proud person, meaning you're just naturally proud and you want to be. Now, being prideful and being boastful are two separate things. But because you are being proud, in order for you to manifest these characteristics or traits within you, you ended up being boastful or you ended up being narcissistic. So being prideful, okay, or being boastful is actually a manifestation of being proud. Second, a cause in the object of pride. Okay, a cause in the object of pride. What is the reason for you being prideful? Because you want to show that you have a certificate from Harvard, or you want to show that you work at at Apple, for example, and you have a great position at Apple, or you want to show that you are a pilot, for example. Okay. And the third, a cause vis-a-vis what pertains to other than these two. Okay, basically, the third one is because you want to show off, okay, intentionally, as well as intentionally, okay, non-intentionally. As for the cause which is in the proud person, it is self-admiration. That which is attached to the object of pride is resentment and envy. That which is attached to the other than these two is pretension. Okay, so to exposit on what we have just read here, obviously Imam Al-Ghazali explains later on what this actually means briefly, but to explain to you or to interpret to you, basically when you are being prideful, you ended up being boastful. And when you ended up being boastful, you ended up self-admiring yourself. For example, if you are a painter and you are able to paint this great landscape, and then you spend 1 hour looking at these pictures, these paintings that you have painted, and then you thought to yourself, oh, I'm so great, I'm able to paint this, right? And so this is actually for Muslims, this is something that we should be cautious of. Okay, instead of saying that, oh, how great I am, I'm able to paint this, we should say mashallah. Okay? We should even say alhamdulillah. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the creativity, the ability. He has actually smoothened our hands to actually paint this magnificent picture. And so we should always attribute all greatness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should realize that the only reason we are able to paint this picture, or the only reason that I am able to read this book, is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually granted me the ability to read. Okay? If I'm born handicapped, or I have something wrong up here, I will not be able to read. And so the blessings of being able to read, okay, as a form to earn or gain knowledge through the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is actually a ni'mah in itself, it's a rahmah, it's a mercy in itself. And so we should always attribute things to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is the one that actually grants us knowledge. Okay? I could spend 10 hours reading this entire page and not understand a thing if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given me understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding, grant us understanding actually. Okay? And may He make us from amongst those who actually make good use of the intellect that He has given us. And so, I'll skip here a little bit. Okay. Self-admiration. We have already stated that self-admiration causes inward pride. Okay, you admire yourself, you're always being narcissistic. And inward pride results in outward pride in one's action, sayings, and states. Okay, and so basically, when we have a conversation with our friends, for example, okay, especially in a knowledge sharing session, okay, there's always the tendency from those who actually shares knowledge to actually paint themselves as smarter than what they actually are, and so that people would actually listen to them. Okay, and so this is also a kind of self-admiration, or a kind of painting ourselves greater than what we actually are. And so we should always be cautious of this, because we should not paint ourselves in a picture or even paint a picture of ourselves that even shows that we are smart. Right? Because we should always remember that knowledge comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I watched a video quite a while back. I watched a video of one of the Imams, one of the Sheikh. Is it Sheikh Ibn Baz or Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin? I can't remember exactly, but someone calls him a scholar, and then he completely rejects this. Okay, he rebuked the person live on camera and say something along the lines, "May Allah forgive you for speaking about me, for speaking about me in a kind of painting a picture about me that is actually not true. Okay, and the context is that someone actually calls him a scholar, if I'm not mistaken, and so he rejects. And then later on in the durus, in the teachings in the video, he mentioned that scholars, okay, he quotes scholars, and he denied being a scholar himself at the beginning. And so these are the kinds of humbleness, okay, a humbleness that we should actually manifest, or learn to manifest, or try to manifest, try to exercise. Not because we are prideful, but we just don't want to show it to the people. No, because we truly understand, we truly realize, and we truly acknowledge that everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our knowledge, our ability to speak, our eloquence, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us eloquence. Everything actually comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that we are just a medium. We are just a medium through which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disseminate all this information. And so, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use us as a medium to disseminate ilm, disseminate knowledge to the masses. Okay? And so, again I repeat, it's not so that we want to be humble so that people know that we are being humble, or we want people to acknowledge that we are being humble. And so this is also a kind of deception of the shayateen, of Iblis, whereby he wants us to portray a picture to the people that we are humble. Okay? And so this is also a kind of false or kind of deception that we should also understand. Okay? The fact is, we should truly acknowledge or truly realize or come to the realization that every single knowledge that we have, everything that we have been blessed with, okay, we should always attribute it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Basically, we're not saying that we are nothing. Okay, we are not being we are not living a monastic life. Okay, basically, we are attributing everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we want to be humble, not so that people call us humble, because when people believe that we are humble, or when people think or feel that we are humble, people want to love us more. And so this is also a kind of deception, but we want to be humble simply for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that if we don't know a matter, like Imam Ahmad mentioned, right? If you don't know, say you don't know. And that is how you learn, by finding out what you don't know. Okay, I'll skip here about resentment because it's not really important to our conversation. And envy, you can see here envy, I'll skip as well. So we come to pretension. Pretension here, pretension. Pretension also incites the character traits of the proud, such as when a man debates with someone whom he knows to be superior to him, there being between them no previous acquaintance, nor envy nor resentment, but refuses to accept the truth from this person and does not humble himself before him in order to benefit from his knowledge, fearing that people will say that this person is superior to him. And so this is the common trait amongst us human beings. And as Muslims, we should always realize this. We should always ponder upon this. All right? We will not be the most knowledgeable person. In fact, if we put ourselves, even the scholars, in fact, even the scholars of Islam, Sheikhul Islam, they will not admit, okay, that they are knowledgeable. And not because they are being humble, but because they truly attribute every knowledge that they have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, again, we're not saying that they believe that they are a kind of empty vessel, like kind of a monastic life, or kind of, forgot the word, stoic, for example. Okay, we're not saying that they are those kinds of people, but because they attribute everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and that is why they even people thinking that they are humble, okay, they do not want that, okay, because shaitan, or the devil, is able to make things, is able to is easy is able to, how, what is the word, is able to deceive people. Yes, that's the word. Deceive people into thinking that they are humble, so that people actually love them because they portray kind of humbleness. Okay? But no, that is not what we want. We want to be humble truly for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we attribute everything, all our knowledge that we have, the ability that we have, the eloquence that we have, as well as to the eloquence in a sense whereby people are able to receive our message, comprehend our message, and understand our message easily. Yeah, all these are due to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. And also, we go back to social media. Okay. Pretension can also be in a way whereby we want to portray to the world a life that we never actually have, or we are not living. Okay? And so we want to portray to the world that we are traveling to Hawaii, we are traveling to all these different places. Okay, we only want to show the good of what we have. And why are we showing people that we are traveling to Hawaii? Why are we showing people that we are traveling to the Bahamas, or to all these luxurious places? Why? What is the point? Okay, because we want to show people that, look, I'm living a life, I'm living I'm having a good time, so on and so forth. Okay, and that you should follow me. You should click follow, or click subscribe to me, because you have to look at me because I'm living the life which you never have, or you never could. Okay, and so you should follow me, so on and so forth. Okay, obviously that is one of the reasons, but there's also another reason that people post all these photos, because they are working with brands, they are working with tourism boards, so on and so forth, so that people will actually come and visit all these places. Okay, so this becomes a job. Okay, and so we're not discussing about that. Okay, we're discussing about the intention. I mean, even a job, okay, your intentions can be skewed. Okay, for example, you are posting photos of you in the Bahamas, so on and so forth, because of a brand deal, or you're working with tourism boards, so on and so forth, or hotels, or whatever it is. But at the same time, okay, you want people to actually follow you, okay, because it is all about me. It's all about me, nafsi nafsi. Okay, and so you want to be famous, because you're narcissistic, and you want people to actually follow you, get to know you through social media, so on and so forth, because you are portraying yourself a life that those people never could live. Okay. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, being prideful and self-admiring is actually not noble at all. And so we should always remember that everything that we actually have, especially as Muslims, everything that we actually have is due to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has granted us all these things that we actually have, and we should always put it to good use. For example, if we are given power and authority, we should always be merciful to the people. The same way we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be merciful to us. We should not abuse the powers that we have, and if we have been given abundance of wealth, or even any form of wealth, we should always remember the poor ones, as Allah mentioned, to make salah, to establish salah, and to give zakah. And so we should always remember to give zakah to people. No matter how poor we are, we should always remember to give zakah. But we shouldn't give zakah in a way whereby we became poor. We ended up with no money and we have to borrow back people for money. So this we should always give in moderations, according to our means, according to what we can. Okay? But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't give zakah at all. And so, for example, if you earn $1,000 a month, okay, it is not incumbent upon you to give $200 to charity. Maybe you are only able to give $1 or $10, right? And that is much better than not giving zakah at all. It is not about the amount. As the scholars mentioned, it is not about the amount. It is about your niyyah, your intention. Okay? Even if you give all your salary, okay, for example, if you earn $1,000 a month, if you give $1,000 away, okay, but the intention that you have is to be boastful, to be prideful, yeah, or even if you give $1 million away, if you're a millionaire, you give $1 million, but you want to make sure that your name is mentioned in the check. You want to make sure that the masjid actually posts about you on their Facebook page, or you want to make sure that you come out in the news so that everybody knows that you give $1 million, then there goes your intention. Your intention is for fame, for glory, for self-admiration. Okay? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have nothing to do with you. Okay? And so your intention has to be pure, has to be solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is becoming more and more difficult to do so because of social media. Okay? It is becoming more and more difficult to do so because of social media. Because social media, especially Instagram or Twitter, or what they call it, X now, or even Facebook, whatever it is, okay? With all these platforms, you will always have the tendency, and this is from the shayateen, the iblis, okay, to make sure that you actually post on social media that you actually donated $1,000 to charity, or you want the whole world to know that you actually built a masjid. Okay, and so the intention is the most important thing. And if you want to boast, then it is you and that. Okay? And if you donate solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is better for you to actually not post anything that people do not actually know, and that your right hand or your left hand will not know the amount that you are going to give from your right hand. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we should always be cautious of our intention. Even making these videos, all these 250 videos that I've made, including this one, or whatever amount it is, okay? I also have to reflect, self-reflection. Am I making these videos to show people that I have all this knowledge, to show people that I have all these books, meaning I'm knowledgeable, because people would see that I have all these books, meaning that he's knowledgeable, right? And so these are the kinds of things that I have to reflect on a daily basis, right? And sometimes it is difficult to do, because you will always want to portray an image of yourself that you are actually knowledgeable. Or when I respond to the comment sections, I always want to respond in a way whereby I will always want to win over the argument, right, so on and so forth. And so all these are the things that as a human being, especially as Muslims, we have to constantly reflect. And these are the kinds of tendencies that we will always have. Okay? We will always have, because this world is a test. And every single day, the devil will whisper to your ears or whisper to your heart and say that, oh, you have to be boastful, you have to be prideful, you have to be self-admiring yourself. Okay? And so it is always important, ladies and gentlemen, for us to reflect on this world. The world is temporary, and that every single thing that we have, every single thing that I have, no matter how big or small it is, even our faculties to think, to see, to hear, to speak, it all belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are all from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know that we are not able to achieve all these things without the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that if we want to gain knowledge, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't actually want to grant us knowledge, we can read 1 million books, but we will still never gain the knowledge that we want if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never wants to grant us knowledge. And so, ladies and gentlemen, then people would say that if you want knowledge, then you just make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah will grant you knowledge, without you actually gaining knowledge through reading, through memorizing, through listening to lectures and so forth. These are the wrong mindsets. Okay? And so if we want something, we have to work towards what we want. And sometimes it takes sacrifices, it takes hard work. Okay? Especially if you want to learn, you have to go through the books. You have to learn from scholars. You have to learn from your peers who are more knowledgeable than you. And so if you always think that you are smart, then you will never learn, because you always think that you are much better than the people around you. And as this Imam Al-Ghazali mentioned, you refuse then to learn from your peers, because you do not want to be seen that these people that you are learning from is much smarter than you or much better than you. Okay? Then you are being prideful, because you think that you are smart, and then you will never gain the knowledge of the people around you that is in reality actually much smarter than you. And if you think that you read all these books, and because of you reading all these books you became smart, then that's the wrong mindset. You should think that you should actually believe, or set your mind straight in a way whereby you read all these books so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you knowledge. Okay? And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in my next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.